Alright guys, so went to work last night, and like I said, I've been working like 15 hours, and the job finally ended today, but I gotta go to another emergency job that popped up, so I'm like, fuck. But around 7 o'clock, I got a call from my mom, well, from a fire chief that had the contact card of me on it. My mom was in a head-on collision. Well, really what she was at a green light, and I'll supply the picture here in a second of what her car looked like. She was at a light. She was about to take a left. The light turned green. She pulled out, and I guess a guy in a bigger like Toyota Avalon or something like that was trying to speed through there and trying to catch that, the yellow light, and was trying to beat it and just hit the front side of my mom's car and totaled her 2017 Nissan Versa. So I left work early, and I spent like all night basically taking her around, making sure she was alright, picked her up from the hospital. So I got off work a little early, so I'm up a little early now. I gotta leave for work here in about 3 hours. So I figured I'll have time to put on the brakes for the Accord. Still trying to come up with a name for it, so if you want to come up with a name for the Accord and got suggestions, leave them in the comments. But here's a picture of my mom's car. And yeah, let me get started on putting the brakes on. Alright, so jacking the car up. I got my 2 jack stands that I'll put under the car here in a second. But just to go over the tools you'll need a 19mm to get off the lugs. If you don't have a socket, obviously, or an impact, obviously you can do it with a wrench or even with the thing that you should have in the back for the spare. And then I also use a hammer and a Phillips head because Honda rotors are held in by a screw, and I'll show you how to get that off when I get to that part. And then also I just have a plethora of sockets and a wrench because every car's gonna be different. I want to say they're gonna be 14 and 17 like an average Honda is, but just in case it's different, I just grabbed all my sockets. We are installing the R1 Concepts Eline drilled and slotted rotors with like an OE pad. This is like an OE performance pad though, so it should be a little bit better. I'll also put a picture of the specs of these rotors versus the carbon ceramics, which are the other ones I got for Hercules, and here's that picture. And then also I did clean up my garage a little bit. It's still pretty crazy. I haven't cleaned this half. This is the half I kind of organized, stacked the boxes a bit better. So this is all good here. And yeah, so I actually have a clear big pathway. I wish I could have done that for when John came over. I felt bad because he was trying to fit through here. And as most know, he only has one leg. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to change out these rotors and these pads, because if I'm speeding in this thing and I go to brake anything, like if I'm going over 80 and I go to brake, like the thing shakes. Not violently, but it shakes, and I can feel it. So I'm going to go ahead and change these out, and hopefully this is better. Also, for orientation, these don't come labeled, but the way I've always been drilled and slotted is this points towards the front of the car and these go to the back. Some people will say that these go to the front and this is to the back, but according to the manufacturer from R1, these point towards the front of the car. The lower side points towards the front. So if you're looking at the car, this is going to be the passenger side, and this one will be the driver's side. So yeah, let me get started. Let me take off this tire. Well, actually, let me put on my my jack stand before I die. Okay, so I did use the 2-hammer method, and the screws came out just fine doing that way. Like I said, I get rust. Obviously, you can see all this shit that fell down from it. And so you're gonna come to the back side, and you're gonna have the actual caliper screw, which holds on the caliper itself, and then you'll have the caliper bracket. This is a 17, and this is a 17 on the Accord. So I don't know if it depends on, obviously, most Hondas have a 17 for here, obviously. The bigger ones I believe are 19 or even an 18. It just depends, but most of the time it's going to be 17 for the caliper bracket and like on a Prelude, I want to say this is a 14, but this is a 17 and a 17 on this one. And then obviously you're gonna have 2 on the backside. You got, there's the other one for the caliper. Once you get it off, you should be able to see. If not, you can just feel it. I don't know if that's even getting it, but it's right there. Get that off, and the rotor literally slides off. Put the new one on, and the new ones even have the little holes for this, for you to put the screws back in. So let me get this off and show you all what we're looking like. Okay, so obviously I'm gonna get my caliper compressing kit. I'll show you what that looks like. It's like 50 bucks from the parts store. This is actually missing one of the 10mm screws, so it kind of just wriggles, you see. But I got plenty of those little screws, so I'll put that in there. It's very interesting. This thing doesn't have ABS. You can see right here where it comes with the little bracket stuff and to hold the ABS sensors and stuff, but it doesn't have ABS at all. There's no ABS unit in the car, so that's kind of confirms that this car just doesn't have ABS, which is neat. So anyway, here are the old pads. You can see they were cheap. Look, they were starting to crack from heat and stuff. They wore out evenly on both sides though, which is good, but they were both cracked right down the center. Very cheap. Probably just has whatever. I got new hardware as well. At least I ordered it. I hope it came in the kit. I didn't see it, but I haven't looked. Probably in there with the brake pads. Because that shit's old and nasty. And obviously here is the rotor. Looking at it, it is pretty fucking thin. But let's compare it to this one. So this is what they claim, is they have the same amount of spleens as OE in them, which is nice for better heat dissipation or whatever, and also for heat soak so it doesn't break those internal splines, and then you got a rotor that comes off on you. Okay, so I got the new pads. Obviously these are so worn out, these might have been slotted just like these were, and then these are even chamfered. And yeah, rubber coated steel shim. So just looking at the quality even of the backside of these, mind you, like obviously these are old, these are dirty, but you can see the quality difference just by looking at them. They look damn near the exact same, which is crazy as well, but you can feel the difference in the pad material. Yeah, but Stop in the World R1 Concepts, based out of California, and there's where these are the pads I got. Part number I'm guessing is on the box, but they're Optimum OEP. So I kind of lied to y'all. I thought I fucking bought the hardware for this, but I guess I didn't. So I kind of cleaned up the old hardware a little bit. I'm just going to reuse that. Kind of kicking myself. It was only probably like $4 for the fucking hardware. I don't know why I didn't. I could have swore I selected it, but I guess I didn't. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and install these. As you can see, this thing's all sorts of junked up. Oh well. Daily life, right? So let me go ahead and put this back on. Oh, also I brought over my caliper compressor kit, which is this Mama Jamma. I've had it for years. As well as I brought over some grease, and it's what I use to grease up these slide pin bolts, which go into those holes. I always grease them up when I do brake jobs. So this one was on top, and looking at it, it's kind of weird because it has this little, so the camera will focus, a little bit at the end of it. You can see that, right? And the bottom one didn't have that. So I'm not sure if that means anything. They're, like I said, they're the same size threads and everything, but I'm gonna put the top back in the top and the bottom back in the bottom, just because I don't want anything to mess up, just in case. But it's just weird that they're different like that. So yeah, I'm gonna put actually back in these screws real quick, and this is just kind of to help hold the rotor flush, really, and keep the rotor from moving around. Honda did it from the factory, so I'm just gonna put them back, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so now I got the screws back on, and honestly, this is going to be a how-to video, so if you're like trying to figure out how to do all this, and this is your first time, you're trying to save money versus going to a mechanic to get your brakes on, because this will save you a ton of money doing it yourself. if you're changing the rotor out, then this can be the hardest part for you if you don't know what you're doing. That's why I suggest the hammer trick, just a ball peen hammer. You literally place it right there, and then you get the big boy hammer and you just smack the shit out of the backside a couple times. You'll see some dirt and debris come, and then just try it with a screwdriver and it should just pop loose, you know what I mean? Like, it's not hard. They have special tools for this, which are like a sliding hammer thing, whatever, blah, 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 but this does the job. I even got looked at crazy because I used to do it this way at Honda, because this is the way I prefer to do it when I worked at the dealership. But hey, you know, got my little helper. Oh, you got your shoes on? Okay. Okay, baby. So we got a helper now, so I'm going to start putting this all back together in the order I took it off. The caliper bracket's going to go on. I'm going to put the hardware on, I'm going to put the pads on. Then I'm going to compress this back in, and I'll show you how this kit works. Okay, so got this on. Obviously I got to tighten it up, but I always want to turn it, make sure I don't get any kind of rubbing noise. And so a lot of people might say, well, I'm making a big deal about the hardware, is when the pad goes on, this right here, the surface area, is literally, so like the caliper compresses it, and then when it uncompresses, the pad's supposed to slide back and not be on the rotor. So if you got old dirty hardware, it could literally not allow the pad to slide back, and then you would have your pad just rubbing on the rotor the whole time and wear down your not only would you heat soak the hell out of the rotor, but it would literally basically melt and could catch your brakes on fire. So that's why hardware is always a good thing to do new. If not, just clean it up really good. But like I said, it's cheap normally. I don't know why the fuck I didn't get it. But yeah, it's just that easy. They just literally slide into place. I'm taking it off like the OE style head. It has this little bracket on the end. And honestly, I'm not a brake expert, so I don't know what the fuck that's for. So don't ask me. But it's just the way it was. It goes on this side. So yeah, so there's that. I'm going to tighten up those two bolts. I'm going to, I hate grease. We're going to re-grease those two, and of course after I compress this caliper back. So let me get these old ass pads out of the way. Okay guys, so this is going to be a little difficult with one hand, but here's how the tool comes. You're going to have this little piece, and you're basically just going to slide that down and around to fit right there, and then you're just going to put this piece in there, and it sits inside of the caliper like this. And let me get it tightened up and show you. Okay, so here it is. Normally if it's a dual piston caliper, what I do is I stick the old pad in there because I'm not worried about the pads getting fucked up, and I'll use that to kind of compress them both, and I'll go side by side until both of the pistons are compressed. But this is just a single one. So once it's tight, you're literally just going to turn this thing, and it should start tightening up the piston. You'll see the piston start to slide. You'll see the piston start to slide back into place. It's literally getting compressed back in so it can fit over the new pads. Obviously, when you do this, this is your first time doing brakes. After you get done buttoning everything up, don't jump in the car and just try to drive off. Pump the brakes until you feel pressure again, because these pistons obviously have to meet the pads and whatnot, and if you just jump in, you won't have brakes for a good couple pumps, and you could just end up going right into somebody behind you if you're backing out of your driveway or whatever. So there, that's tight. You don't go until it's stupid tight, just go until it doesn't go anymore. Just normal pressure, you know, don't try to overdo it. And we'll just try to slide this out of there that way. And there we go. We got the caliper compressed. So now we're going to just go and slide it right into place. Let me grease up these bolts and slide them in. Here, let me do the top one. I just like to dip it in there, get it nice and greasy. And this is hard to do with one hand, but just shove it back in and then start threading it. It threads obviously into this part in here, and you'll feel it. Yeah, right here, sorry. Threads are right here, actually in the caliper itself. And yeah, grease this up and slides right in. Okay, make sure everything's tight. That's how you replace the rotor and pad. I'm going to do the exact same for the opposite side. And then after, we'll go for a little test drive to break these in, and I'll show you all the braking procedure. Oh, you broke the door handle?
Yeah.
Okay, put it on the table right there, and Daddy will fix it here in a second, okay? I don't know how you did that one. There's for mechanic clothes, guys. No, leave that alone. So, it's literally that easy. Make sure everything's tight. Obviously, I use a 3/8 ratchet in here. It's way easier with a 1/2 inch to break some of these bigger bolts. And then also I'm going to get a little 10mm that I have. Oh, excuse me, guys, to fit there so I don't get caliper movement. Ew. Okay, thanks for rubbing me down. So guys, it's literally that easy. Like I said, just make sure everything's tight. Like I said, with a 1/2 inch, it's a lot easier to make sure everything's tight, and you'll get more leverage out of it. So there it is. If y'all have any questions, let me know on this process. But I'm gonna get the other side done and knocked out real fast so we can take this thing for a test drive. Alright guys, it's all wrapped up. Rotors and pads are on this side. Everything's tight. Rotor and pads are on this side, so we're gonna lower it down, pump the brakes. Well, I'm gonna put the tires on, then lower it down and pump the brakes. And I'll show you how to do that. And it's really just you in the car pumping the brakes, but just to clarify that for the people that don't know, I'll show y'all. Okay guys, car is back on the ground. We're gonna get in here and we're just gonna push the brake until it gets hard again. You just wanna make sure that the calipers are actually, there you go. Now it's hard. See, it's stiff. And just do that until it gets stiff. And that lets you know that the calipers are now ready to go and you can drive this thing. And I'm gonna go eat breakfast, but then we'll go in, we'll break these bad boys in. Stealthy behind the steelies. Yeah, we'll go check this out and see how these Eline perform from R1 Concepts. They went in extremely smooth. Everything seemed like an OE rotor base, but drilled and slotted, so this is gonna be nice. Alright guys, so in order to break in the pads and the rotors, I'm on my way to work, is you're going to do about 3 to 4 stops from 0 to 45 at just a normal braking pace, basically, a little over medium. And then you're also going to do 4 to 5, 60 to 15, so pretty aggressive braking, like really push on it, but don't slam on your brakes, obviously. And that'll get the, that'll basically break in the rotors and pads. As you can tell just from normal braking right now, I'm kind of getting a little bit of a rubbing noise. I don't know if y'all could hear that. Sorry, I'm going to lie about this turn. Anyway, guys, I'm going to do this process, breaking the rotors. It's that simple. And to not make this video any longer than it needs to be. Like, share, subscribe. Love you guys. Until the next one, guys, which will be soon, hopefully.